Well, hi everybody. Very excited to today present to you, our top pick for the new focus on sustainability. But sustainability often means compromising on return, and for many, it's kind of blurry, and people don't understand: is it now a startup? Is it a charity? What are they really trying to achieve? In the case of Plastic Bank, there's no confusion. Growth capital company, we would call them to be in the correct category. They're going for over 10 years and they have achieved something very, very difficult in the plastic and materials industry in the global aspect. And David, when we started the new concept of Noah Zurich, it was about digital, sustainable, and profitable. Your company is fulfilling those three important check marks. When did you start this journey? Tell us who you are, and then we talk about Plastic Bank.
Lots in that conversation, Marco, and hello from Vancouver. And I think it's important always to be in the recognition that I'm just a normal human. I'm just some dude out of Vancouver. I'm nothing, more extravagant than the rest. I'm just someone who has the ability to persevere. I have a high level of tenacity. I have the ability to overcome great uncertainty and risk. And I stand forward for something bigger than myself. I'm in a place where I'm stewarding truly all of humanity and all life. And that's really what led me to create Plastic Bank. It's really the stewardship of the ocean, knowing that we must do something about what's unfolding in the ocean. We must do something about marine debris, ocean acidification, climate change. It's not an option not to. And I think more succinctly, I'm the product of someone trying to do something big.
I know that you have in the team a great number of professionals from the fast-moving consumer goods industry with all the buyers' contacts and experience. But what did you study, or what's your background? How did you stumble into doing Plastic Bank?
Well, I've always been an entrepreneur, Marco. I've never had a job. I mean, I was a waiter in Canada once, but that was like being self-employed as well. The better I took care of my customers, the more that I sold, the more that I would make as well from tips. My education is in business and light education from a business school of technology here in Canada. But entrepreneurship, and there's something about being with people, being an executive, being creative that has led me to where I am today. And yeah, I've got a beautiful executive team. They span the world. They are executives from Coca-Cola to Maersk to Procter and Gamble to Luxottica to so many. And it's not me that they're working with or for, but it is the ambition that they are working with and for. Stopping ocean plastic is at the root of what we do. So who's Plastic Bank? Well, Plastic Bank, I think, is, as a metaphor, I express us as a chain of stores for the poor, ultra poor, those who make less than $2 a day, where everything in the store could be purchased using plastic garbage. School tuition, medical insurance, Wi-Fi, cooking fuel, clean water, everything that the poor desperately need and struggle to afford, using garbage that would otherwise flow into the ocean as money. It's really a monetary standard, and we're actually more like bank branches. It's a digital platform that is authenticated through the blockchain in partnership with IBM. It has created a banking application for the world to collect and transact material like money. That's what we've done. It's a monetary standard that operates within a network that creates and reveals tremendous value in material resources, putting money in the hands of the world. And if we consider there's
carry a phone, most of them, right? And then you showed me the app, which I think is fascinating because there was a lot of discussion around recycled plastic, which is not coming from a trusted source, and you have child work. But in your system, since everything is running through the blockchain and it's traceable and identifiable, you bring a certain safety to the big brands when they engage in buying plastics from emerging markets, which
That's
is really
yeah, the business ultimately, the monetization comes from providing that material that we collect that we call social plastic. And if you're in the consideration, social plastic, it's a material whose value is transferred through society, that builds society, for society, by society, and that is returned into the manufacturing supply chain. We connect big brands like, Procter and Gamble and Henkel, SC Johnson, Hugo Boss, and so many others with a validated, authenticated, transparent material that allows them to connect with the consumer, because we're powerfully entering the regeneration economy. We're moving away from this paradigm of, oh, give me what I want, give me what I'm looking for, to support that I believe in. The Greta generation, the next generation.
You don't want to feel guilty about consumption, right? So if you do something,
Not even guilty, it's about doing well.
Good.
I mean, there's guilty, then there's neutral, which is many people's aspiration. Like, we'll be sustainable, we'll stop doing damage, but that's not enough today. The regeneration economy is going to award and reward those organizations that are going to step forward and say, we're going to repair the damage that's been done.
So how are you going to scale it, and what are your learnings? Is it getting easier now? Is everyone waking up after COVID and consumers putting more pressure? There's a consumer communication. Maybe you tell us a little bit about what it is.
We continue to grow. We've been somewhat exponential. It's 100% plus growth year over year, every year. And this year, revenues are around 30 million. I think we're really just into revenue this year. We have about 40 plus million on the books for 2022 already. And that is just recurring order. As people purchase with us, it just grows successfully. It becomes a part of their supply chain. So the organization continues to grow. We're about 200 staff globally. We're just opening Thailand and then Cameroon, and the next year Tanzania and Kenya as we begin to tackle Africa. We have tens and tens of thousands of registered members. We influence roughly around 100,000 lives. And we're about to announce our 2,000 million bottles that we've collected, plus so much more material. We increase collector revenue by around 40%. And we return all that material back into manufacturing. We created a self-perpetuating, self-sustaining business machine that prevents ocean plastic by ending poverty. It's a beautiful model. It's an abundant model. It's an abundant mindset. And it really is regenerative, and that its very presence in every transaction that occur, the world gets a little bit better. I think it's important to note that there's nothing against the laws of science. There's nothing against the laws of physics in what we're doing. And no matter how insurmountable it may seem to others, it's a very, very simple process. And we engage households and families, and the way we go into market is creative, where we engage schools and congregations. And we're truly an exponential model. We're really building a licensing model that allows us to go into countries more quickly, more powerfully. And we've learned what we've had to learn. I've been self-funded to get to where we are. I've started with no outside funding, and have grown the organization to where we need it to be today. And now we're looking for additional funding so that we can continue to expand even more quickly and move more powerfully into different licensing type models for the world that make it more accessible for large brands and small brands to participate. So there's a pathway for us here. And I think that what's driving it, Marco, is not as much, although we would believe that it's the consumer, but large brand and small brand, and in today's climate, especially North America, are finding it impossible to hire anyone. And people have choice today. They understand that they have choice, and they're making their choice known where they work. They're not going to work in organizations that are killing the ocean, that are killing the earth, and don't have purpose. So unless you've got purpose at your heart, you're going to find it very difficult to compete. That is what's occurring. That's irrefutable. No matter what stage the businesses are, they're all racing towards adding more and more content, exhibiting that they're regenerative. All the large bottlers, FMCGs, are making commitments to, 50% to 100% recycled content, creating more of a regenerative community, and that's what they're racing for. The demand for recycled content exceeds supply 6x or more, and then when you add our purpose inside of it, and the ability to truly differentiate against the competitors who's doing the same thing, that's what we get to provide. We're providing a business solution. We're providing an opportunity for organizations to truly have purpose, to embed purpose, and to exhibit their authenticity to the world. The blockchain's providing that as well. There's a continuous drive towards authenticity and transparency.
I mean, here we see the example of Gillette. How many brands are using your materials to advertise the social plastic and they're saving?
We're about 300. We're about 300 total customers currently, and we continue to grow every day. There's more customers every week, so it's probably about another 5 or so new customers every week.
Yeah, I mean, that's the circular economy everyone was kind of hoping for. No? The question is...
It's a true circular economy model.
Fraction of what's going through the system. They're landfills and they're burning it and so on. So it's fascinating. It's really fascinating. Are there other companies doing this end to end? Because
we don't see anyone else doing what we're doing at all. We would like there to be. I really believe in not in copyright, but the right to copy. It's a way of thinking in the world. It's a regenerative model. And we know that we need more and more of that occurring on the planet if we're to survive. It's about saving humanity, saving the species, and moving forward powerfully. I'm also struck by the knowing that of the 10 billion species that have existed on the planet, we're the only species that has ever had the ability to steward and care for all other life. And we're not. But I believe that there's hope. I believe that we can have that awakening and turn to that. And that's what's occurring today with the new generation. Those awarenesses, those knowings are driving the next economy. And you can either participate and create, or you can get out of the way. That's what's occurring.
Yeah, I mean, investors simple due diligence, right? They want to know, is there enough demand? Is there enough supply? Where would you
endless supply, endless demand. And it's circularity, right? So it's not that we're just collecting the material once. And the more money that you provide in the hands of our collector communities, the more they spend. So it actually self-perpetuates. So it's not a world without plastic. It's a world without waste. And that's really the idea here. We'd love to be in the notion of communities that are being cleaned as we witness them, but ones that have no waste to collect, because it's not collectors that we engage with, it's households. It's about being with every single household that then sees the material differently. It doesn't make it in a waste stream to begin with.
One question, David. I mean, where is the plastic coming from and who's bringing it to the depot?
Well, it's individuals, right? So really the endeavor here is it's a household model. It's a digital platform. Ultimately inside of all of this is the banking application. This is much more of a digital play. It's about providing recyclers and communities around the world with the ability to create, sustain, and authenticate a supply chain that brings them in greater volumes of material for recycling. That's very, very simple. What we're doing today is really just the expression. It is household. It's not about collectors. Yeah, collectors, of course, are involved. There's lots out there that want to go to hotels and restaurants and places and get volumes of material. That's all beautiful. And it's about creating a space for every single household to look at the material that comes in their house and say, oh, hey, you know what? There's another $4, $5 per month in resources value in my home. What do I get with that? That's powerful. If you're only making $80 a month or $100 a month, when there's an additional $5 every month from what used to be thrown into the canal, that is just a giant motivator. And when they have the ability to access insurance and banking and everything else, it's even more powerful. Now, also one of the values for the collector is that when they return the material consistently, they ultimately earn credit worthiness. It's a banking application. So the more frequently you return the money, the more consistent you are, you ultimately earn the ability to have a credit worthiness, a score that then lets you borrow other financial products or participate with other financial products.
On the supply side, you can source more and more, and then how is the demand side looking?
Mhm.
The brands are increasing their commitments according to the Ellen MacArthur
Every day.
Institute,
Mhm. Yeah.
is doing the numbers.
Yeah.
So, so you see a very nice growth for your business. You have to, if you believe in cleaning up the
Yeah.
oceans.
Yeah. We're growing exponentially. Yeah. No question. No question. There we have unprecedented growth, from all sectors, not just FMCG, from fashion, from manufacturing, from everyone else. And constraints are our country growing, opening more country, building more supply chain, being more exponential. That's what we're raising money for. There's other, more profitable models would like to get into, more licensing,
Yeah,
that type of
explain. You
thing. So,
mentioned that earlier already. I found that interesting because licensing is like scaling at a cookie cutter, I guess. How
yeah,
do
well, if you're a parent anywhere in the world and you have anything in your house that is Disney, let's say, that what Disney didn't manufacture, that they licensed that. And Disney made money from the licensing of their brand. That's ultimately what we're doing. That's what we've built in the world. We've earned hundreds of millions of dollars of earned media. Being with the Pope and everything else has been, incredibly powerful for us, who we are in the world, the authenticity of us. And so we aim and endeavor to return the material at a penny below commodity pricing for post-consumer, so that we come out of their cost of goods, that we don't influence their cost of goods, and move into the marketing budget where the funding is, where the availability is for us. And that's a faster model to market, and more profitable as well. So there's ways that we want to continue tackling um, our growth, and that's a very powerful one.
what is the role of politicians in all that? Are they helping you when you're coming to a poor country and you're offering your services to
We
the?
have a lot of support from the Canadian government, which isn't corrupt. We hesitate to go into, corrupt countries around the world where politicians are looking to serve themselves. Not everyone is as abundant minded as we are. Now, we hope that with a diplomatic presence, we'll have greater presence with ministers of environment or ministers of education or the like. But I believe really in the Western world, the role of government is to provide a space of taxation against virgin plastic. I would hope that at some point we'll get to a place where the parity between virgin and recycled or social plastic doesn't exist anymore, and that the ability to use a material that's already on the planet makes more financial sense. I think government has a lot to do, but where we see them being slow as well.
So how long will it take to have the majority of the materials floating back through your systems?
We certainly have the ability to have a profound impact in 10 years. There's no question. Profound impact. And it's all available. And I return to this knowing that we're not doing anything against the laws of physics. There's chemical recycling and paralysis. There's so many other methodologies today, scientific methodologies that return the material to virgin state. There is no need for us to continue to manufacture virgin plastic. None. There's more than 10 trillion kilo of plastic on the earth. Everything we're produced is still here. We're just in the process of going and collecting that and returning that as value into society. 10 trillion kilos, between $1 and $2 per kilo. It's between a 10 and $20 trillion value. Estimated 500 billion ends extreme poverty in the world. We've inadvertently deposited the very, very value to end all suffering, all inequality, all injustice on the planet. That's what we're monetizing. See, that's the benefit behind what we do. We're a for-profit solution of returning material back to manufacturing, to provide a space for brands to have authenticity, so that they can engage the next generation of consumer, which is what they have to do. And then it turns out that by doing that, we help save the planet.